Hey there, Spider Guildlings! The Comics Kid 2099 here to talk about an episode of Green Lantern the Animated Series titled Razor's Edge. Once again, I remind you that while I am watching this series on DVD, you can watch it on the DC Universe streaming app if you wish. This isn't a paid endorsement, but more me spreading the good news about where you can watch this series. And with that being said, a quick plot synopsis before I get into the review itself. Hal and Kilowog drop Razer off at a prison run by the Spider Guild, but one of the prisoners escaped and warns the Lanterns that the prisoners are being tortured by the Spider Guild. So Hal and Kilowog go to investigate and get captured. So Aya frees Razer and he rescues his one-time captors. Hal decides to let Razer come with them, now a free man, though still a grumpy one. So this episode continues the pattern of the two-part premiere by making Razer more the protagonist who has a character arc than the two main Green Lanterns, even though Razer has less screen time than Hal and Kilowog. There's sort of a character arc with Hal, who starts the episode believing that Razer needs to be in prison, no ifs, ands, or buts. But by the end of the episode, even if Razer can't see it, Hal sees some good in Razer and changes his tune a little bit. And much as Kilowog might want to deny it, he is starting to see it too when Razer rescues them. But that's a very small change in the trajectory of their characters. I still maintain that, although the series is not titled Red Lantern the Animated Series, Razer is our main character once again. This episode shows us exactly how Razer became a Red Lantern, which is a great rationale for his turned villainy, and it really makes me curious how all of the members of the Red Lantern Corps came to hate the Green Lanterns. In this case, the reason for Razer's rage, say that 3 times fast, is that some vague warlord on whatever planet he was from was terrorizing Razer's village, so Razer joined the resistance, and then his wife died in one of the warlord's attacks. And I guess Atrocitus filled Razer with the ideas that the Green Lantern Corps failed Razer by not protecting his village, which he does have a point. I don't know what sector Razer lived in. Maybe he lived in the frontier zone even before he became a Red Lantern. If that's the case, then it is a little bit more understandable that a Lantern wasn't there to patrol the situation on his planet. And I should point out that I don't know on average how many planets are in a given sector. I guess it'd be different for each sector, but it could be that Razer was in one of the more populated sectors. Regardless, this episode is pulling no punches. It doesn't say, well, the series is about Green Lanterns, so we can't give them any flaws or faults. Nah, no matter how I slice it, the Green Lanterns, or at least one of them, is at fault for what happened to Razer's wife. If it had been more of a localized dispute that got her killed, that would be one thing, but it was a warlord extorting an entire village, which the Lanterns should have known about. And like I mentioned last week, this series has to be careful with how villainous Razer is, because they do eventually want him to be one of our main heroes, as we start to see in this episode. So when Aya tells Razer that Kilowog and Hal are investigating the corruption at the prison, you can see in Razer's eyes that he is realizing that the Green Lanterns aren't all bad, just as Hal and Kilowog are starting to see that not all Red Lanterns are bad, or at least this one isn't. We also get to see some development of Aya, which is nice. Still the least developed character in the show, but that's fine because we don't want to introduce too much too fast. This series has to introduce 2 brand new characters to audiences who are familiar with the Lanterns, as well as the Lanterns and the Guardians to non-comic book readers who are not familiar with any of this and might be coming into this world through this series for the first time. So I wouldn't want them to juggle too many balls and drop something in the process. But we do get to see that Aya is more than just a computer program, as she endangers her own existence to save Hal and Kilowog. I suspect this is because she is powered by a giant lantern battery, which is nice because a lot of times in science fiction, whenever you have a robot that is more than just a robot, there is no explanation. So I am glad that we at least have a plausible one here. The bad guys of this episode are suitably evil, and really, the episode isn't even trying to pretend like they're not when we first see them. Hal and Kilowog both comment how creepy the prison is, and the episode doesn't try to make a mystery about who the bad guy is going to be. It wastes no time getting us back to the prison and showing the spiders being evil. So I'm glad we appropriated just the right amount of screen time to them, while letting the focus be on Razer's past trauma and his current character arc. I really like this episode, guys. We're continuing strong with this series, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode, which I will be talking about next week. In the meantime, I'll be talking about some other stuff that you can watch me review before I get into the following episode. And if you like my videos, I encourage you to like, share, comment, and subscribe. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.